saying men should be dangerous. By dangerous, that implies I should be ready to threaten someone, to hurt somebody.
No, you should be capable of it. But that doesn't mean you should use it. There's nothing to you otherwise. Like if you're not a formidable force, there's no morality in your self-control. If you're incapable of violence, not being violent isn't a virtue. People who teach martial arts know this full well, right? If you learn a martial art, you learn to be dangerous, but simultaneously you learn to control it. Both of those come together. And the combination of that capacity for danger and the capacity for control is what brings about the virtue. Otherwise, you confuse weakness with moral virtue. I'm harmless, therefore I'm good. It's like, no, that isn't how it works. That isn't how it works at all. If you're harmless, you're just weak. And if you're weak, you're not going to be good. You can't be, because it takes strength to be good. It's very difficult to be good.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
And so I've been suggesting to young men in particular, it's like, you want to get your life together? Take the path of maximal responsibility. Not because you should, even though you should. That's not why. It's because that's the pathway of maximal adventure. So you say, well, what's the meaning of life? It's like, it's the meaning that reveals itself when you take the pathway of maximal responsibility. That's exactly the message of the crucifixion. That's precisely the message. Pathway of maximal responsibility. And that's a terrifying thing. There's no difference between that and the dragon and treasure stories that are, unbelievably archaic. The greatest possible treasure is to be found where the danger is most intense.
Right.
Yeah. Always.
Right. The dragon guards the gold.
Always.
Right.
Well, and so one thing to know is that if there's a dragon, there's a treasure somewhere.
Don't be afraid of both sides, opportunity and difficulty, chance and danger. Learn how to handle it all. Yes, there's the dark side, but there's the light side. Yes, the night comes, but so does the day. I'm telling you.
Remember, you won't get everything you want. Simply sometimes it hails on your crop and rains on your parade. It's that kind of planet. You must learn to handle the negative. Don't ignore it, handle it. Now, you're going to be disappointed. Let me put this in here. When this doesn't work out, just as you've planned, you're going to be disappointed. But here's what you must learn to do as a leader. Learn to discipline your disappointment. That's very important. Be disappointed, but don't let it kill you. You've just got to understand, sometimes the seed falls on shallow ground. And it didn't say what to do about the shallow ground. It just said that's the way it is.
Man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun. The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. And yet everybody rushes around in a great panic, as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. Trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth. The secret of life, to be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now. And instead of calling it work, realize it is play.
Recognize that there are forces coming at you who want to keep you in fear. And they're succeeding if you let them. Don't let them. I smile. This is the best time of my life. I can work out back, make OGs. I listen to my classical music as I'm making this. The sun is shining. I eat good food. What could be better? I'm not into fear. I see the rest of the people who are fearful, and I'm completely devoid of being influenced by that. I choose not to. At any moment in your life, you are the sum total of the choices that you've made. So make some good choices. Make some choices that make you feel good. Don't worry about, you have no control over those. You have control over yourself, but you have no control over everybody who's pumping stuff at you. So take control of your power. It's inside you.
Forgive yourself for all the mistakes you make and for all the faults you have and for all the angry things you may have said. Forget about that. Forgive yourself. Think of the wonderful opportunity you got to actually come down here and be a spirit in a human body, having all these wonderful experiences and all these awful experiences. But the sum total of them is going to cause you to have soul growth, and it's a positive. And then you go back home again. This is not your home. You came here to play this game, to have these experiences. Home is when you... So there's nothing to be fearful or afraid of. You're going to go to a wonderful place.
He would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on. And he'd say, boss, we got this and that and the other thing. And I'd look at him and I'd say, good. And finally one day he was telling me about some issue that he was having, some problem. And he said, I already know what you're going to say. I said, well, what am I going to say? He said, you're going to say good. He said, that's what you always say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say good. And I said, well, yeah, when things are going bad, there's going to be some good that's going to come from it. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good. Didn't get promoted? Good. More time to get better. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get funded. Didn't get the job you wanted. Got injured. Sprained my ankle. Got tapped out? Good. Got beat? Good. You learn. Unexpected problems? Good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution.
How tall will a tree grow? As tall as it possibly can. You never heard of a tree growing half as high as it could. No, trees don't grow half. A tree drives its roots as deep as it can, reaches as high as it can, produces every leaf it can, every fruit it possibly can. To the max. Every life form strives to the max, except human beings. Now, why not human beings? Jot this down. You've been given the dignity of choice. You're not a robot. You don't have to repeat this year the same as last year. You can tear up last year's plan, develop a new plan.
Take a sheet of paper, write your current goal or problem at the top of the page in the form of a question. For example, you could write, how can we double our sales over the next 24 months? You then force yourself to write 20 answers to that question. This is not easy the first time you do it, believe me. Nonetheless, by disciplining yourself to write at least 20 answers to that question, you will be absolutely amazed at the quality of the answers that appear on the page before you. This is called mindstorming, sort of like brainstorming. It's one of the most powerful creative thinking exercises ever discovered, and all it takes is a piece of paper, a pen, and a few minutes of your time. Once you've written down 20 answers, and you can write more answers if you like, but 20 is the minimum, go over your list and select one answer which you can implement immediately. The faster you implement this idea, the more ideas that will come to you.
If you have food on your plate, clothes on your body, and a place to sleep, you're richer than 55% of people in the world. If you have money to spend as you wish and freedom to go anywhere you want, you are among the top 8% of the world's population. If you're alive today, with more health than illness, you are more blessed than the 1 million people that won't survive this week. And if you can read and understand this message, you are more fortunate than the 500 million people who cannot see, cannot read, and cannot access the knowledge and information that surrounds us. Life is not for complaining about pain and sorrows. It's about prioritizing countless other reasons to be grateful for the privileges we often take for granted.
The number one thing I will not do is talk to negative people. I don't want to hear, I don't care what your story is. I don't care what happened. If all you do is complain, you are not around me because it is sticky. It's sticky to you. It's sticky to the universe. It leaves a residue. I don't want to hear it.
I refuse to break. I refuse to cry. I refuse to be depressed about it. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to smile regardless. I think that as a man, there's always going to be a degree of pain and suffering in your journey. I don't think you're ever going to become a successful man or be good at being a man without pain and suffering. All of the pain and all the suffering I've ever gone through in my life ended up building me into the person I am, and I'm proud of who I am.
Taken one step at a time, all of the things that success and happiness require are actually quite easy to do. Changing from errors to disciplines is easy, as is going from failure to success. The reason why it is so easy is because we can do it, and anything we have the ability to do is always easy. Now, we may have to work hard at the daily discipline part of the equation, but reaching out with our talents to embrace success and its rewards is very easy to do. But if it is so easy, why don't more of us do it? Because while it is easy to do the things that success and happiness require, it is also easy not to do them. The things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. The primary reason most people are not doing as well as they could and should can be summed up in a single word: neglect. It is not the lack of money. Banks are full of money. It is not the lack of opportunity. America continues to offer the most unprecedented and abundant opportunities of any nation in the last 6,000 years of recorded history. It is not the lack of books. Libraries are full of books, and they are free. It is not the schools. The classrooms are full of good teachers. We have plenty of ministers, leaders, counselors, and advisors. Everything we would ever need to become rich and powerful and sophisticated is within our reach. The major reason that so few take advantage of all that we have is simply neglect. Many of us have heard the expression, "An apple a day keeps the doctor away." We may debate the validity of this familiar quotation, but what if it were true? If by performing that one simple act, that one simple discipline, we could be more healthy and alert and active throughout our lives, then would it not make sense? And would it not be easy to eat that apple every day? Assuming the quotation is true, why don't more of us eat an apple a day, every day, to maintain our health? If it is that easy, and there is such a tremendous reward attached to this discipline, why do we not do it? Because the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. That is how subtle failure is. Failure is largely a function of neglect. We fail to do the small things that we should do. And this seemingly insignificant license carries over to those things that are important to do. Small neglects have a way of becoming major oversights with the passage of enough time. Neglect is like an infection. Left unchecked, it will spread throughout our entire system of disciplines and eventually lead to a complete breakdown of a potentially joy-filled and prosperous human life. Not doing the things we know we should do causes us to feel guilty, and guilt leads to an erosion of self-confidence. As our self-confidence diminishes, so does the level of our activity. And as our activity diminishes, our results inevitably decline. And as our results suffer, our attitude begins to weaken. And as our attitude begins the slow shift from positive to negative, our self-confidence diminishes even more. And on it goes. Failure to do the things that we could and should do results in the creation of a negative spiral, which once started, is difficult to stop. Why are we so frequently inclined to do the things that are least important, but so reluctant to do the essential things that success and happiness demand? What is that voice that whispers to us, "Just let it all slide"? Why worry about all that discipline nonsense? It is the voice of negativity, a voice that has grown increasingly stronger over the years as a result of being around the wrong influences, thinking the wrong thoughts, developing the wrong philosophy, and making the wrong decisions. Part of the solution to quieting the voice of negativity is learning to listen to the still, small voice of success, which resides inside each of us. The voice of success is constantly struggling to be heard above the loud promptings of the voice of failure. Our own free agency allows us to follow whichever voice we choose. Every time we allow ourselves to succumb to the voice of the dark side of life and are persuaded to repeat errors instead of mastering new disciplines, the voice of negativity grows stronger. Conversely, each time we listen to the urgings of the voice of success and are persuaded to turn off the television and pick up a book, to open our journals and record our thoughts, or to spend a quiet moment pondering where our current actions may be leading us, the voice of success responds to these new disciplines and grows in strength and volume as each day passes. For each new discipline, another step forward. We can never totally eradicate the voice of failure from within us. It will always be there, urging us to think and feel and act in a way that is contrary to our own best interests. But we can effectively silence this destructive influence by developing a sound philosophy and a positive attitude about life and our future. Creating a new philosophy is easy to do. Making new and better decisions is easy to do. Developing a new attitude is easy to do. All of the worthwhile and rewarding things we have covered in this chapter are easy to do. But the major challenge, the one that could leave us with pennies instead of fortune and trinkets instead of treasures, is that it is also easy not to do. We must keep a watchful eye on the subtle differences between success and failure, and be ever mindful of the inner urgings that would have us repeating costly errors rather than developing new disciplines. We must each make our own conscious decision to reach out for the good life through the refinement of our thoughts and the careful examination of the potential consequences of our accumulated errors. We must not allow ourselves to think that the errors do not matter. They do. We must not allow ourselves to assume that a lack of discipline in one small area of our lives will not make a difference. It will. And we must not allow ourselves to believe that we can have all that we want to have and become all that we wish to be without making any changes in the way we think about life. We must. The journey toward the good life begins with a serious commitment to changing any aspect of our current philosophy that has the capacity to come between us and our dreams. The remaining pieces of the puzzle of life can be of little value if we have not first made the firm resolve to do something with this piece of the puzzle. Everything is within our reach if we will read the books, use the journals, practice the disciplines, and wage a new and vigorous battle against neglect. These are some of the fundamental activities that lead not only to the development of a new philosophy, but to a new life, filled with joy and accomplishment. Each new and positive activity weakens the grip of failure and steers us ever closer to the destination of our choice. Each new, disciplined step taken toward success strengthens our philosophical posture and increases our chances of achieving a well-balanced life. But the first step in realizing this worthy achievement lies in becoming the master of our ship and the captain of our soul by developing a sound personal philosophy.